Hi, this is Nancy Hogan, explaining to Dr. Joe Ferrandino my CDA for Crim 615. And per request, I will do all of them in this video. As you can see, this is my OAM for assessments, and 85% of the coursework really reflects about criminological theories. We do have 5% that looks at political ideology and those theories. And even though that we discuss political ideology, the real point in all the weeks is to learn the theories. As you can see, 5% is for predictors. And again, we connect the predictors every week. And finally, APA expectation is required for both discussion boards and assignments. So let's go through the rubric and then kind of take a look at the course. 1.1 module learning outcomes consistent with course level outcomes. As you can see, they are the same. And the modules each reflect those course outcomes. 1.2 assessment types measure course outcomes and required performance. Yes, they do. And so when we get to the activities, you will see that the assignments directly reflect, although I put in here the essay and the discussion board. 1.3 course includes rubrics. So let's go to, we're in the student view and we go to a discussion board, show rubric. There is a rubric there. And then, so the students know what are the expectations. And then if we go to an assignment, again, there's a rubric there so that they know what is expected. 1.4, examples given where applicable to communicate quality expectations. Under important information for students are several videos on requirements, protocols, and then there is an actual assignment expectation video for them. Number 1.5, self-assessment opportunities for pre and post assessment and self-check-in. Let's go back to home. And each of the assignments, the discussion boards are clearly giving instructions for them, and the instructions don't really change. They usually reflect, now this is a video discussion, so I give the length, I give what the response should be, but our assignments for each week, when they do have a writing assignment, ultimately ask a question, and then one of the things that we do is we go back and next we have the OAM for activities, which ultimately show what the students are doing and then how much time they are spending on specific activities. So first one's 2.1 for a 3-unit course, 9 hours of instruction and study per planned week. The first week is, I just put down 9 hours because they're reading the information. They can view the APA videos, and then they're only doing a video introducing themselves. But once we jump into the material, the average time, according to the survey that I took this semester, is anywhere from 12 to 20 hours that students spend on this. And it is located how much time it's going to take in the overviews, which I'll show in a minute, but also on the OAM. 2.2 substantive content and course equivalent or surpassing learning experience a student would receive in a site-based. This is equivalent. It is the exact same content that I deliver face-to-face or in my hybrid class. 2.3, all content and required components of course outline are addressed. So in the syllabus itself, let's go here a minute. We have the learning outcomes. They've got all their textbooks that they need. I give them policies, and ultimately, here's the requirements that are listed for the class. And so we have textbooks, the requirements, and then when they get to the agenda, they can ultimately see what readings they have to do, the assignment, and the activity they're doing for each week. And at the end, ultimately, then they have the course schedule that is listing all the activities. Further, they can go and download the syllabus. The printable syllabus is located in the first column. 2.4, course content schedule consistently organized in logical progression. It follows the introduction of the theories, follows literally the one book on Crim theories that they follow. 2.5, where appropriate, connections to course level goals and outcomes. All of these are located in the overviews, telling what course outcomes that they meet. So here's the overview when we start getting into the material, and I list in the overview which learning objective they're learning about. 2.6, each learning module contains instructional materials with sufficient breadth, depth, and currency for student learning. So I have tried to make them, they follow an overview. I list the readings. So they have all the readings that they have to follow. They then do an assignment or a discussion board with the rubric. And then after they complete this and upload it, for this one, they have a discussion board as well. And then at the end, after they've submitted their assignments, then they have a lecture from me discussing the material. 2.7, each learning module expects higher ordering thinking explained with examples or models. A lot of this is a master's class, so pretty much everything is higher order. And through the videos, my feedback, and also the assignments, they're using critical thinking. 2.8, course engagement supported by activities and experience using a variety of technologies and teaching strategies. So as I said, we have discussion boards embedded, we have assignments, we have a scheduled check-in with me, we have digital presentation that they do on their own and then compare to each other's, and then ultimately then they have a written research assignment. 2.9, pedagogical choices of learning activities and interactions effective for student mastery of outcomes and goals. Because everything is aligned with the outcomes and goals, then all the assignments then reflect those goals. So, and their final paper literally is repeating everything that they have learned in the class. 2.9, I just went over. 2.10, multiple activities, structured to develop students' critical thinking, depending on the assignment, depends on what they're doing. So for example, in discussion board, this one, they are ultimately going out and then finding an academic journal article on what they just read in the textbook. So everybody has different journal articles, and then they explain them and tie it in with their responses. And that is the activities. So now going on to participation. Oh, let me get there. Participation and interaction. Again, I have the learning objectives at the top, and we can see that for each, the participation is listed on what they're going to do. So 3.1, regular feedback upon student performance. I try to grade all my papers. If for example, the class meets on the papers are due on Saturday. I usually spend Sunday or Monday reading them all. So within 2 or 3 days, they get feedback. I write detailed information in the feedback that is given when I give them their grade. And if I think that a student's struggling, I will email them, and a lot of times then I will call them and talk to them. 3.2, each learning module includes multiple feedback opportunities to promote student achievement, which ultimately, when we start looking at these, for example, the deterrence paper, it's student to instructor. Then we have a video lecture that's instructor to student, and then comments instructor to student. But when we do a discussion, then it's student to student and outside research. Now, with the video presentation, they partner up with somebody else that's in the class. So that gives them the experience to ultimately work with somebody and share research opportunities. Okay, 3.3 learning modules include asynchronous interactive communication strategies to promote higher order thinking. Ultimately, everything that they do in this class is involving higher order thinking. The assignments, like this is a discussion board, they're going to go out and find a policy that matches predictors and discuss that. So within everything, it's not just a clear-cut answer. They have to dig for the answers. 3.4, multiple activities structured to promote students' application of concepts. This is reflected not only in the papers, but their final project then incorporates everything, all the theories, the predictors, the ideologies that they have learned in class. And so right from the beginning, I send announcements telling them that they should start reading the book and start marking every time they do a theory, to see how it fits into the book. And then their final project is ultimately tying poverty, race, culture, some terms that are referring to low-class neighborhoods and the culture within them. And then when you're ultimately under stress, they talk about moral damage and emotional damage. So then they have to tie these all into everything that they learned. So 3.5 assignments effectively use external resources to facilitate inquiry and active learning. So for example, when we go to an assignment, I'm trying to pick one here's one that has readings. These other two are from, this is a journal article, this is a book chapter, and then this is their textbook. So they get a variety. And then, as I just showed, within some of the assignments, they have to do, find an academic journal that matches the subject matter. 3.6, learning community deliberately structured using such strategies as discussion boards, group projects, group problem solving. Yes, we use discussion boards. We use, as I've said, we've used essays. We use video presentations. And then we use their final paper that combines everything. 3.7, learning activities foster instructor-student, student-student, and student community, which the student community interaction is ultimately going and finding different resources to add to the paper. So, for example, I will use their presentation. And so one of the things that they have to do is read your chapter and gather outside sources, at least 3, that they then tie into what they learned in the chapter. So they have the opportunity to use things outside. And then we have 3.8, students encouraged to form their own independent study and work groups for learning course content. Actually, they do. Even on the online that I taught this semester, they became very close and worked together on some of the things, and plus them partnering up helps them. I think having discussion boards where they have to respond to each other also helps them to get to know each other. And then they do study groups, and I'm aware of that because they have emailed me and as a study group and asked me questions. And then finally, 3.9, multiple mechanisms in place for student to give instructor and course feedback, including formal, informal, and anonymous options. Anonymous, obviously, are the evaluations that come at the end. But as I said, every assignment that they do, I give them feedback, things that they've done right, things that they've done wrong. They also have feedback from each other, and uh, they also then just have instructor feedback through my lectures. And so that is participation and interaction. The next one is 4, which is protocols and wayfinding. And here, let's just go through, and I'll use we'll start with the OAM. 4.1, student learning outcomes, goals, objectives available in multiple course areas. So not only do I list where they are, each folder, for example, gives the syllabus is in the first one, the schedule's in the first um, module, and then each module has an overview that kind of reviews what they're supposed to do. And then 4.2, students can easily find, access, and review content and required sources. So let's go to one that has readings that are outside. All the readings are linked with the library. So when they click on them, it takes them right to the source. And again, as I said, this is through the library. 4.3, students can move back and forth between internal and external course resources. Because I've put the readings in pages, they can go to them and then click right back to the class. For 4 learning modules inclusive of assigned reading information, just showed that. 4.5, clearly labeled tutorial materials, easy accessible. For example, the APA tutorial short videos are in the first section, and I also talk about that in my assignment expectations. 4.6, course uses LMS features for facilitating streamlined content delivery and interaction. I've used conferences, found out that there are some limitations, but I will use conferences for the check-in. We also record our video presentations in studio. And I give clear instructions. Let me go just to show that. Clear instructions about how to do studio. And it talks about right here. So ultimately, the students learn basically how to do this. I think that they use, I think it's in this one too, the student introductions, where I explain how to do right here, how to use the studio. Sorry, I pulled up the wrong one. So 4.7, I have a hidden folder, and I will then upload this foundational document. These were the ones I redid that I was supposed to upload into the summer class, but I didn't realize it. So these are all updated, but I'll delete them and put this one in there. And then I will be putting course materials in when I teach it, and instructions for the other faculty that teach this once I retire. Directions or links to descriptions of technical learning. So one of the things that is in the first section up here, excuse me, is right here. And then student resources, this connects directly with all the student resources on campus. And then back here, so course etiquette, expectations for discussions. In the discussion boards, I give specific directions, and then I'll pull up this one. Because this is a video one, I didn't have it in this one. So let me go back to the discussion board here, and I have internet etiquette listed. Say who you're addressing and give your name and talk about how to word things. 410, relevant facts, that would be under important information. Clear explanations of optional required technology. There are no outside requirements. Schedule of events is clearly labeled print schedule. It's also printed on the syllabus, and it is also available at the bottom of the internal syllabus, which also then connects it to the calendar. And so the students have the ability to go to the calendar that apparently seems to be taking a while. And so for the CDA, then it shows you all the assignments. And we're in December, so it's not showing too much. But if we go back a month, we should see there's all the assignments. So let's go back to the course. And back to student view. And finally, orientation to course and online learning includes clear description of navigation plan and course expectations. That is in the introduction by myself, and also the important information that I've already shown you. So these tell the students some tips and guidelines for using the online. So now we come to the protocol or the tech check. So let's go to that. And so all the lectures and written materials are in ADA. They're accessible. My lectures, other than one that I have to go pick up today, I have a video from PBS, and it's difficult to get the closed captions. So Ferris just redid that video, and I have to pick it up and reload it. But all the videos have been sent to YouTube or have been done by Ferris and have the ability for closed captioning. All the pictures have alternative text and colors to provide high contrast. I'll show in a minute. The Start Here module has some tips on course navigation. And then all the readings that are used are linked through Ferris for copyright concerns. And I really didn't have any non-academic. So let's go through the rubric and do the tech check in the student, but I might have to switch to my view so I can show. So tutorial materials support multiple learning modalities as shown on the OAM. Audio, visual, and text-based are available, and any student can then take a video, put it in Studio, and get a transcript, which is a kind of a nice feature. 5.2 links to institutional policies. Those are in the syllabus. And so here we have in the policies and procedures for online expectations for disability services. And ultimately, then there's another document that I have put under information that comes from the college that ultimately gives them tips and information. Okay, and I just noticed that I forgot to put in it back into the important information. So after I get done with the screencast, I'll add it. 5.3, course materials use standard formats. I only require, I mean, I have these in PDFs, but the students upload in from Word. And the only other tool that they may see would be Excel. Um, 5.4, course screened using ADA web screening tool. So for example, and I'm going to switch out of the student view. So the discussion boards, if I went to this and I was going to edit it, and I went over to my little guy, you can see I get balloons. So all the discussion boards have been checked and all have balloons. 5.5, supportive mechanisms allow learners with disabilities to participate fully in online. So if I had a student that ultimately needed something extra, then I would contact disabilities. We also have the information within not only the syllabus, but the important information for students if they want to contact disability services. Normally on the master's level, we don't see the disabilities coming up until the end of the course when they take comps or if they have a long test to take. 5.6, course design and delivery integrates alternative resource. As I said, you can go through Studio to get transcripts, all the colors. So closed captioning's there and everything's ready for a reader. Design factors, the colors, text, everything is in accessibility based on my balloons. And all the documents that are within here, for example, like the syllabus, also is ADA accessible. All web links, current and functional, yes, I mean, if we go to the settings and we go to link validator, we see that there are no broken links. Oops, let's get out of there. Say 5.9, a bibliography and supporting web links. I'm not sure what you mean by bibliography. The students have all the readings within the syllabus, and then the supporting web links are built right into the modules. Copyright clearances for use of other instructional. Most of the images are either Ferris images or have been taken from public use sites. Large files identified to help learners consider download times. Most of the files are direct links, so they don't have to worry about trying to download. The only other files are short PDF written files. 5.12, videos streamed when possible. All of them are streamed through YouTube. For example, let's just pick here's a lecture on life course. So as you can see by that, that's my Google. So it's being streamed through there. So if they need closed captioning, they can just turn it on. Or did I? There we go. And finally, no grammatical, spelling, or typographical errors. Hopefully, I have read over this and have now figured out what you meant by capitalization. So everything in the module is capitalized. Everything was gone through both in my view and the student view to make sure all the links work. And as you can see, the structure is repetitive, so they know each week what the module is going to be. On the syllabus, they're identified for Module 2, Module 3, and then I also put in the week so that they can follow along on that. And I believe that meets the rubrics that are required for this course.